Okay, let's dive right in. Welcome back to another film review here on my channel. Look everyone. See that? That's a mic stand. I promised in the last video there would be a mic stand by the next video. And there's a mic stand by the next video. Also changed up the setting once again. Now we're flipped looking this way. Got a little key light over here. Still messing with that. This is my first time using it, so it's a little messy. But yeah. Also, we have a key light that's blue, and then we have a key light that. Never mind. That's not a key light. That's a fill light. And then we have a key light that's orange, and then we have a fill light that's blue. So that's a bit of an interesting contrast. We'll see how it looks. I think it looks pretty cool right now, so that's kind of why I'm using it. I kind of didn't want to do a video because I was on a film festival shoot this weekend, like a 48-hour film festival, so everything had to get shot in one day. And I kind of got a little sunburnt, if you can see that. And I just really did not think that was very safe for work. So I wasn't going to do a video, but here we are. I just decided I really wanted to do it. I wanted to test out this light. I just wanted to get another video up. And this week what we'll be looking at is the Canon Rebel G. Oh, probably rubbing that all over the thing. The Canon Rebel G. Okay, so this camera right here was released in September of 1996. It was the 7th installation in the EOS Rebel series, which is kind of like a namesake for Canon. I'm not sure if it is anymore. I think they discontinued Rebel. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. I have not looked at the DSLR space in a long time, as I'm more into film photography and cinematography now. So I'm not super photography based anymore. I still love photography. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. But yeah, the Rebel G, namesake of Canon. I think that they're doing like EOS R is like their new namesake. I could be wrong though. Don't quote me on that. I'm probably very wrong. But yeah, the Rebel G been around for a long time. It's been around since 1990. So this is a name that has kind of become pretty well known with the people of intro cameras for photography, videography, all of that. I've owned a Rebel G. I've owned a T2i. I've owned a T4i. I've worked with a T6i. So yeah, I'm familiar with the Rebel series. I've shot short films on them and all that's good stuff. I've done photography on them. Yeah, so very happy to have this. Love the Rebel series. Great cameras, even if it's SLR and not DSLR. Okay, so tracking back just a little bit, when this camera came out in 1996, you would have been able to pick one up for $559 in US dollars. Actually, I didn't. Let me check for inflation because it's going to be way more than that. That was the MSRP back then. Let me check really quick. So $559 now from $559 in 1996 would run you $926. So this camera would have cost you a pretty penny. So not very much of an intro price, you think. When I think intro price, I think like $700, $800. So it's a little bit above that, which is pretty interesting. But this is a pretty cool camera for 1996, so not too upset about it. If you bought this camera in 1996 for that $900 nowadays, you would have gotten yourself a 35 to 80 millimeter autofocus lens on an autofocus capable body, this nice little interface as well, and a built-in flash, which were all very nice things to have and still are. Okay, let's do a little camera walk around. So I'm just gonna kind of talk as I look at the camera. I wrote a few key things down that I wanted to go over before I just kind of like threw myself in. The first thing is the shutter speed wheel, which is going to be right above your shutter press button. You're going to be able to change your shutter speed with that because it's a shutter speed wheel. I guess I should have just been able to figure that by saying the name. And then if you press this little button that says AV on the back of the camera, hold that down, you'll be able to change your aperture. So those are just two really nice things to know. I wanted to say those before. I just kind of like went into looking at the camera and just forgot to say them. So here we are. Also, you can see my trash can in the background. Nice. Also, my super messy table right here. Also nice. Cool. Really should have thought about that. Let's start at the front. So on the front, you of course have the lens. Awesome. You have your nice little branding and whatever. Don't really have to worry about taking your lens off on these old boys, because there's no sensor for you to get dirty. So I know a lot of you, if you're digital photographers, you're probably like, oh my gosh, he opened the front of the camera. But there's nothing behind that. Yeah, no need to worry. All that's behind there is some glass, which can get dusty. I guess that's kind of an annoyance, but it's not as scary to clean as a sensor, that's for sure. And then you also, you have your button for the flash. Just press that. Flash will flip up. You also have your, I think this is like an autofocus assist light. So if it's too low light, it will just shine a beam of light out to try to find somewhere to get focus on. So that way it doesn't have to use a flash, or sometimes it'll just use a flash anyway. I do have some things to say about that. We'll talk about that later in the video though. Now moving up to the top of the camera, you do have your hot shoe. This is a hot shoe. You can hook up a external flash to this and it will be able to read simultaneously with the camera. Then you have your shutter button, your shutter release button, the shutter dial we just talked about, your digital readout, which will tell you your it has your exposure meter, battery life, and then it also has your shutter speed and aperture. Then you got some function buttons that I really couldn't tell you what they do. You have function, which I'm sure does all kinds of, yeah, it'll just run through your different functions that you could have. And then you have your timer / reverse button. Kind of weird to put those on the same button, but whatever. That would suck to like set up like a family photo and then the camera just goes into reverse mode. But yeah, I'm sure there's like a difference in like time and delay. I can't ever remember having to press the reverse button because I'm pretty sure once you get to the end of the roll, it auto winds it for you. Because with this camera, when you put in the roll, it will unroll all of it and then roll it back in. So it does a reverse version of it. So yeah, pretty cool. So by the time you're done shooting, you'll be out of film anyway. So yeah, don't really have to worry about pressing that unless like it jams or breaks or something. This is a big deal right here. You have the preset dial. We see this on every camera that exists now, but this, now that I'm thinking about it, this is the only camera I have that has a preset dial. Hold up. Yeah, no preset dial here. It's not gonna focus, but the only dial here is your ISO. So yeah, no preset dial there. Of course, no preset dial here. It's a point and shoot. My other kind of starter photography camera, this was of course like half a decade before that camera, but yeah, no preset dial here either. So this is kind of a groundbreaking idea when you think about it. I'm pretty sure like the other Rebels in the series had this, and the Elon and or Ellen or however you say it, had this ability as well. But I mean, that's pretty groundbreaking when you think about it. Like, this did not really exist, and now this is a staple on every camera you buy from any company. Pretty cool. On that wheel, you will find your reverse button, ISO set, ADEP. Don't know what that means, honestly. You have manual, you have aperture priority, TV, which I would assume is shutter priority, and then you have program, then you have lock, which just means off. Then you have auto, then you have face / portrait priority, then you have landscape priority, then you have nature priority, then you have sport priority, and then person star priority. I would assume maybe that's like preset or something. Not sure, because I don't use these things. I don't need them. They're kind of worthless settings, honestly. I don't know why cameras give them to you, because they're just kind of worthless. Just learn how to use the camera. Like, come on. CR2 battery compartment at the bottom. On the back, you have your viewfinder. And inside the viewfinder, this is also cool. Most cameras, I mean, also have this, but I just love it. Is you also have your in viewfinder display that will tell you your shutter speed and aperture, and also the light metering. So very cool. And then on the back you have that's where you have the AV button and that asterisk. Also you have your film door and a little view hole, so you can actually see if you have film in there before you open it up, like I did a few days ago on my Olympus OM1, where I found out I still had film in there and opened it up to a brand new roll that I hadn't shot. So that's gonna be awesome. And I mean that in kind of a painful way, because that means that it's gonna be exposed. But we'll see how it looks. Yeah, that's everything, I believe. Yeah, this has a DX reader, so yeah, you should be good to go. Next thing I want to dive into is pros and cons of this photo, and then we'll take a look at some of my own photos, and I can tell you my feelings and thoughts on those. So first, for the pros, very snappy autofocus. This camera is great for just like throwing it around. It's great for just throwing it around, trying to capture focus on something. Most of the time it will find what you want. It's very snappy. It's almost always finding what you want to focus. I very rarely have to fight the autofocus. Like even my G7 that I'm filming on right now, I have to fight the autofocus with it all the time. This camera, it knows what I want. I love it. That's one of my favorite things. Clear and clean photos with like very, very low noise. Like you could swear some of these photos like look like they're taken on like a nice digital camera. It's crazy how good this thing does with some of these photos it takes. They look so good. I want to use this camera so much more, but we'll get into some reasons why I don't use it more than I currently do. I've shot probably four or five rolls on this, compared to probably like the 15 I've shot on my Olympus and the 20 I've shot on my Minolta. This one I've shot about 4 or 5. This thing does beautiful wides and portraits with the lens they give you. You can get nice and wide with a 35, which is pretty crazy when you think a 35 wide, especially when I'm on a micro 4/3 cropped lens life, because I have a G7 and a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema. Seeing a 35 angle this wide is crazy. People don't even consider 35 as wide. But there's some shots that you'll see that I think it captured a pretty wide shot. But then you can also, flip it into 80, get yourself some really good portraits. So yeah, it's very versatile. You can really get a lot of good photos with just one lens if you really just want to buy it and just use the lens they give you. But it's also EF mount, so you can put any of the lenses you have on it. I have a Canon. Actually, let me grab it. We can test this live in the field. Okay, so right here, I got a Canon 85mm. Very beefy looking lens. Looks great to flex on the haters. All right, here we go, boys. I could prove myself wrong right now. I don't think I've actually ever tested this. Nope, it works. There you go. Another great reason to freaking buy this camera. All EF lenses are going to work with this. You can get some freaking dope photos. This is awesome. Huge reason to buy this camera. You can put any EF lens you want on this. So if you have a backlog of EF lenses and you're just wanting to buy a digital camera just to kind of goof around with it and try it out, get yourself a Rebel G. Get yourself kind of anything that's in the 90s-ish lineup for Canon, because you'll be able to use your EF lenses on it. But I can guarantee you with this one, you will be able to, and you will get cool photos. And if it is electronic, you'll be able to use it on this camera. So that's a huge advantage this camera has. Okay, I think this is fair to note after I did that. This is a very light design. This camera is super light. And when I noticed when I put that super heavy metal lens on here, I just kind of felt a weakness in the body, especially in the hand. It just felt like it might snap. I mean, it obviously isn't going to, but it just felt very small and dainty compared to the lens I put on it. So this is a very like lightweight and small camera. Take that as you will, as a pro or a con for whoever you are. Super comfortable design, classic Canon design, but it's actually, maybe I'm crazy, it's longer and thinner than most modern cameras because there's no real sensors or electronics in here. There are electronics, but not the kind that we see nowadays. Very small, lightweight camera. I usually hold it like this. This is usually how I grab it, just like that. It's so easy to one hand, especially if you have it on autofocus. This camera, it's just, it's great. This grippage that they have here, it's whatever, but it's a light camera. You're not gonna, I don't think you're gonna be able to struggle. I don't think you're going to struggle to hold this. Okay, cons. And unfortunately, the cons with this do frustrate me to the point where I don't, if I have all my cameras laid out and I have like a roll or two of film, I'm not going to choose this over another one. And these are the reasons why. It is terrible in low light, terrible in low light. And I will show an example right now because I'm not going to put it in my reel of my photos I like. Here's an example. It's so bad in low light. And this is what you should expect. I had this happen time and time and time again when I tried it in low light. Yeah, just be prepared to be disappointed with low light because it is mucky, it's gross, it's mushy, it's smeary, it's super, super noisy. The colors don't know what to do. They get super red and crushed. Yeah, it's just gross. And then if you use the flash, it's super washed out. It's so bright. There are some photos where it looks kind of like cool and grungy, but it's very bright. It's very uncomfortable. It looks bad. It looks unprofessional. It just, I'm not a fan. And the finder light that we mentioned before is so bright. You will blind anyone you try to use it on. Here, let me just show you. You see how bright that is? I accidentally did to myself earlier, and I legit like had it imprinted in my eyes for like 20 minutes. It's so painfully bright. Now they have that like little orange light that like glows. It's kind of harsh, but this is just a straight bulb on your face. It's too bright, way too bright. You're gonna blind anyone you use that on. And it happens in, that's in autofocus, and here's in manual focus. And we're gonna keep this on to show like what it's like in darkness. It happens manual or autofocus, and you're just gonna blind. If you try to do it in any dark situation, you're gonna blind the person. That's just a fact. It sucks. I hate it. I hate that it does that, and that is why I don't choose this camera over my Nikon Teletouch, my Minolta, Minolta, the Maxim 5000 I did a review on, the Olympus OM1, which I plan on doing a review on soon as well. Yeah, I just don't prefer it over those. I love the photos it takes in the day, but it's just like, I usually don't shoot a roll in one day, and I want to be able to use it in a lot of different situations. And so having to be kept to a bright, sunny area or super, super well lit area, nah. I love the photos it takes, but you have to take them in daylight, and that sucks. I really hate that. And that could just be chalked up to the lens. Put a better lens on it, you'll be good to go. So you could easily ignore what I just said. You could easily ignore what I just said. If you have a large collection of lenses you can put on here, go for it, man. But yeah, if you just want to get this for the kit lens to use all the time, I don't know. That's for you to decide. Let's look at some photos and we can decide what we think. Okay, so out of those, I have picked 4 photos that I want to take a look at with you guys. First of all, let's start with this photo of my pal Sam. Great photographer, great resource for me to learn more about film. Awesome guy. So this is a photo I took of him while we were all out doing a little shoot together, trying out some cameras. I love the colors of this photo. I love the quality, the detail, the wideness. I just love everything about it. I think it looks so good. I love how the colors of his shirt contrast so well with the rock behind him. I just love it so much. I think the colors on this are great. I think the focus could be better, actually. I think he's actually out of focus in this photo, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, love the photo. Love that guy. Another photo, this is a 2-shot. We have Sam once again in the foreground, and then we have another great film friend who's there in the background. I also just love this photo. I love how wide it is. I love how clean it looks. I just think it is such a good looking photo. Like, it just looks so, like, not film, but film at the same time. Like, it just looks like the science of film photography was getting so close to perfect. Which for a lot of people kind of ruined it because, you know, people like the grungy look of film. So do I. But this is just one of those where they just got so close to, like, film perfection. Like, it just looks so good. So let's go on to the last part of this video. Should you buy it? Should you buy it? We kind of went into this already, but might as well actually talk about it. So right now on eBay, you can find one of these for $50, $60 with the same lens that I showed you, which is a pretty good price. I would say 50, 60, closer to 50. Yeah, go for it. Awesome camera. $60, think about it. $20, like I found it for, as I mentioned earlier on Facebook Marketplace, most definitely. I would recommend you wait until you can find it on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or whatever to buy it for cheaper. Wait till someone's getting rid of their stuff that they found in like their grandparents' attic or whatever, and buy that. But if you don't have the patience, you don't want to wait, you just kind of want to get one, try it, put your Canon lenses on it. Yeah, go for it. 50, 60 bucks, nowhere near 100 though. If you see it going anywhere near there, like 75, 80, 90, 100, anything like that, no, not worth it. Look in other avenues, look in other directions. This camera's not worth that. It's a fun little starter camera, but not a $100 camera. But yeah, most definitely be looking out for one. I would highly recommend it. Huge fan of it. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I still have a few cameras backlogged that I want to do reviews on. We have the Olympus OM1 that I kind of showed off a little bit in this video. Olympus Super Zoom, I believe it's called Super Zoom 70, something like that. I think that's actually all I have left in the backlog. So I have those 2 cameras left that I want to do in the future. We'll see how this video does. I've been pretty happy with the turnouts for the turnouts and growth of my channel from these videos. So yeah, I'll keep doing them until they stick, you know. That's all I got. Have a good day. If you get a camera, let me know. If you have any questions, let me know. Follow me on Instagram at Millimeter Photos to see more photography from these cameras and others I've reviewed. Also been streaming a lot on Twitch at major_spooks. Been streaming like 7 Days to Die as the game, and then also been streaming some video editing. So if you would be interested in that, go ahead and head over there. I might even start streaming these videos like when I edit them. So yeah, that's all I got. Peace out, everybody.